Creatine's relationship with anabolic hormones is one of the more frequently mischaracterized topics in supplement science. Claims range from creatine boosts testosterone to creatine causes hormonal problems, and most of them are either wrong or so overblown that they're functionally misleading. Here's what the research actually shows. The most widely circulated positive claim is that creatine raises testosterone levels. The evidence for this is thin and inconsistent. A handful of studies have shown modest increases in total testosterone or dihydrotestosterone in male subjects supplementing creatine. But these findings haven't been consistently replicated. The magnitude of the changes is small, and the mechanism isn't established. The most commonly cited study showing a DHT increase, a 2009 South African study in rugby players, found a roughly 40% rise in DHT after a loading phase. That sounds dramatic until you see the absolute numbers. Both the starting and ending values remained well within the normal physiological range for adult males. More critically, this finding hasn't been independently replicated in the way that creatine's performance effects have. The more plausible interpretation of the modest hormonal fluctuations occasionally seen in creatine studies is that they're downstream effects of improved training, not a direct action of creatine on hormone production. When creatine allows you to train harder, sustain more volume, and recover faster, your training stimulus is more powerful. A more powerful training stimulus drives more acute hormonal responses, higher post-exercise testosterone, higher growth hormone, greater IGF-1 signaling. These are not creatine's hormonal effects. They're training's hormonal effects amplified by better training. The negative claim, that creatine suppresses natural testosterone production or causes hormonal dysfunction, has no credible mechanistic basis and no supporting clinical evidence. Creatine does not interact with the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, the axis that governs testosterone production. It doesn't suppress LH or FSH signaling. It doesn't occupy steroid hormone receptors. There is no known mechanism by which creatine monohydrate would alter endogenous testosterone production in either direction. What about estrogen? Similar story. No credible mechanism, no clinical evidence of direct estrogen modulation from creatine supplementation. What about insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1? Some studies show modestly elevated IGF-1 signaling in creatine-supplemented individuals after training. Again, the most likely interpretation is that this is downstream of better training quality, producing a stronger anabolic stimulus, not a direct pharmacological effect of creatine on IGF-1 production. The practical summary is straightforward. Creatine is not a hormonal agent. Its primary mechanisms, phosphocreatine expansion, cell volumization, satellite cell activity, are independent of hormonal pathways. If creatine's users experience better body composition and strength outcomes than unsupplemented controls, the explanation lies in training quality and volume, not in hormonal manipulation. Anyone selling creatine as a testosterone booster or warning against it as a hormonal disruptor is operating beyond what the evidence supports. The molecule is more interesting and more useful than either narrative gives it credit for. There's a practical angle on anabolic hormones and creatine that's worth addressing for the population that takes hormone optimization seriously. The interaction between creatine and exogenous hormone therapies. For individuals on testosterone replacement therapy or anabolic steroid cycles, creatine is frequently stacked with these compounds under the assumption that the mechanisms are synergistic. There is no credible evidence of a pharmacological interaction between creatine and exogenous anabolic steroids that produces effects beyond what each achieves independently. Creatine's mechanisms, phosphocreatine expansion, cell volumization, satellite cell activation, operate through pathways that don't intersect with androgen receptor signaling in any direct way. Stacking creatine with testosterone or anabolic steroids isn't harmful from an interaction standpoint, but it doesn't produce supraphysiological synergistic effects beyond the independent contributions of each. The training quality benefit of creatine is just as valid in that context as in any other. For individuals on legitimate testosterone replacement therapy for hypogonadism, creatine supplementation is appropriate. The same mechanisms apply, the same safety profile applies, and there are no known adverse interactions. For healthy individuals, the evidence doesn't support creatine as a hormone booster and doesn't support concern about it as a hormonal disruptor.